Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. Of course, if you don't know me by now, but hopefully you do, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners of Analog Stick Gaming, and to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
Pretty good. It's my day off. Banter's wanted me to throw his banana peel.
Banana.
No, doing pretty good. Swamped in games right now. This is
me too.
massive busy week here. So I think I've got
and I gave you another game yesterday as well, which you'll be able to play.
Yeah, and that goes live in about an hour or so.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all that in a little bit. Obviously, we want to talk, if you don't know, the reason this is called the Gaming Mix podcast is because we primarily focus on gaming, but we will do some entertainment things when we feel the need to, and we are both big wrestling fans.
Orientated too, so,
yes.
WWE 2K25. I was almost tempted to buy it because it went down to like $39.99.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do I just wait for next year's?
That's fair. At this point, I think that's a fair thing to think.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to spend that much on the previous one anyway, why not save that money and put it towards the next one, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Of course, before we get into anything here, though, I do want to remind you that we have an affiliation with NordVPN. And if you're not sure what a VPN is, it basically offers you protection online, enabling you to hide your IP address. There's lots of advantages to this, from additional security against hackers and all that kind of thing. But also, it does allow you to access content that maybe isn't available in your region due to licensing issues or other things, right? Where there was a famous thing recently where Stephanie McMahon was telling everybody to use a VPN to watch WWE. And we're not going to go quite that far, but it is something you can do. So yeah, what I would say is if you need a VPN and you're worried about online protection, you can use our link in the description below, or we have... Yes, or we have several ways to get to it on the website. However, there is a sale coming up very soon. I've got some assets for it, so our assets on the website will be updated for a short period of time while the sale is ongoing, because they're doing a special Black Friday deal, which might make it even cheaper than our existing deal. But what I would say is go on there, have a little look, see if you're willing to pay. It works out that your first month or so is like the price of a cup of coffee, I think.
It's dirt cheap for it, and the advantages are really good, especially if like you don't want to put up with, like, say you're in the States, whatever, and you don't want to put up with ESPN or Peacock or anything. NordVPN will allow you to kind of just access that stuff on Netflix. Because
and the other thing, compared to other VPNs as well, this is really important to mention because I've used a few in my time, but NordVPN actually allows me to retain basically my full connection speed, which isn't something that other VPNs do, because normally VPNs have a limit on how fast they can run for internet connection. So you might lose some of your speed by turning on a VPN, right? Whereas with NordVPN, I actually still get my full speed. So it's so to me, I don't even know that it's on. So half the time it's just on in the background, protecting me. I don't have to worry about anything. And I can access the things I need to access, because especially, I've actually found it quite helpful for us at times because we're in different regions of the world. Sometimes I need to connect to different servers, or we need to be able to get on different websites that I might not have access to here, right? And things like that. So it is a really helpful tool. And then on top of that, if you're someone who struggles to remember your passwords, or perhaps you feel like your passwords aren't secure enough, then you can also use NordPass, which is Nord's password manager, and that will allow you to basically auto-generate passwords and save those passwords so that you don't have to remember them yourself. And this thing, as long as you remember one master password effectively, this thing will then log you into any of the accounts you have saved on it, meaning that you can make passwords that you don't even know what the password is yourself. How much more secure do you need to be? At that point, if you don't even know your own password, what's the hope of some other person figuring it out? So, and we don't have a link for that below, but if you head over to the website analogstickgaming.com, you can click on any of our news articles, and either in the sidebar if you're on desktop or if you're on mobile towards the bottom there will be a NordPass logo, and if you click on that will take you straight to our NordPass link. And like I say, with NordPass or NordVPN, if you're using any of our links, you are also directly supporting us, as we will retain a percentage of your subscription as long as you keep it for more than the 30 days, because they do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you sign up and don't need the service or don't like it, within 30 days, you can just get your money back. Quite frankly, with how cheap it is, I don't think you need to bother about doing that. I don't think anybody's going to miss, even in this day and age, when you can get this thing for like a couple of dollars for your first month. It's worth trying out and seeing whether you can make use of it, I would say. But one area that people are using it much around the world these days, as Jeff kind of alluded to earlier, is to watch WWE, something that we do quite frequently, Jeff. And there are many faces that we might not be seeing on our screens for quite a while.
Yeah, it's kind of this year has been absolutely nasty for injuries, for wrestlers basically just being injured right now. We just saw Soluka. She injured her leg during the tag team title match on SmackDown, so she isn't able to compete with Halloween Havoc. And instead, her tag team partner is going to be fighting on her behalf. This fight's against Blake Monroe, so I think Blake Monroe was already, approached to take the title regardless of whoever she was facing. But yeah, it's weird because like we've had so many injuries. Like just to name some, Seth Rollins, Liv Morgan, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio is in the PC right now, so he is getting back to return. Rhea Ripley suffered a minor broken nose or something like that.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that one. I don't know.
And you got Austin Theory. Gunther's out for a nose as well. Piper Niven is.
Although Austin Theory is apparently meant to be back soon, so that is worth mentioning on him.
Piper Niven, her injuries are reportedly career-ending.
That's really sad if that's the case.
Chad Gable's out injury-wise, and Ludwig Kaiser has had to jump in and be Grande Americano.
But that's also a shame for Chad Gable because he was doing so well with that stuff.
Well, the thing is, apparently, according to sources within WWE, through like the news was broke by I think the Fightful Select or whatever, was that people within WWE believe that Ludwig Kaiser has improved Grande Americano to the point where Chad Gable may not play the character anymore, or they may have a American Grande off. Where they.
It's interesting because I think they actually have the opportunity to do something clever here now, where they could bring back Chad Gable as a fan favorite when he's fit again, and have him kind of be like, "See, I told you I wasn't Grande Americana." Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's funny too because like everybody knows it's Louis Kaiser. Like there's
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
yeah, for
But to
sure.
add even more fuel to the fire that he is El Grande Americano, when they were in Japan, Ludwig Kaiser was not on TV or in any events, but he was in pictures with other wrestlers enjoying food. So like, oh gee, I wonder why Ludwig Kaiser is in
Why
Japan.
is he there if he's not on TV? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's got like two other Grande Americanos as well too,
Yeah.
with him and stuff. So that's pretty funny. But these
I
injuries
think
are
it's
insane.
definitely, and it's hurting, you know, like, okay, yes, WWE have had lots of ups and downs recently, but when this many injuries happen on like a mass scale, it does hurt their ability to tell cohesive stories.
Yeah,
And
they've had to really pivot because of Seth Rollins. They've had to
yeah,
expedite the falling out of the vision. They've had to expedite uh, CM Punk getting the belt.
yeah, yeah. So it's,
That was likely going to be a WrestleMania type of thing.
I imagine so as well. Yeah, it's a real shame. I do think that, and this is going to sound really cynical, but I think it's just the truth of the wrestling business, at least from a fan's perspective, is that the one positive about when a wrestler does get injured and has time on the sidelines, well, there's two. There's two positives. One, they actually get a chance to have some sort of break that they might not get otherwise. And two, it gives the opportunity to somebody else who might otherwise not have got that opportunity to show what they can actually do and what
Yeah,
they can achieve.
moving from that exact line, a lot of people are pissed that they're putting Jey Uso in a match against CM Punk for the title and not LA Knight.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, don't look at the business side of it because CM Punk's going to win.
Yeah,
They're
he's
not
going to win either way.
Yeah, but pinning Jay doesn't really do anything. He won't lose any, crowd appeal or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you can't pin LA Knight because they are pushing him, and he's had a very good run. And a loss for him hurts him harder.
Yeah, it would push him back to square one again, right? Like, if LA Knight loses again, the question would then be, why do they keep giving him the chance to get up to that opportunity and then never giving it to him?
Yeah, it's a lot easier for Jay to lose, and I'm pretty sure he will. I don't think they're going to have Jay win over it. Just because I don't think the storyline's there yet.
I think the only reason to have Jay win, arguably, is that he had a short run with the title in the first place, and being a previous champion with that belt potentially helps in a way. However, I think that I've mentioned before that, yes, this belt's been around for a little while now, but it is still struggling. It's not viewed by fans as the same quality of the other top championship, right? It just isn't. Yeah. And one way to do that is to give it to one of your biggest names. And whether you like him or not, CM Punk is one of their biggest names. But so I think it's the right decision. I think also the other thing is you can have CM Punk hold on to it for quite some time until Seth Rollins comes back, because at the end of the day, CM Punk has had a long run with the belt previously in his career, so it's believable that he could do that, right? Because you have the history there to back it up. Whereas if you make Jay the champion again, people are going to be thinking, oh, okay, he's probably a transitional champion just to get onto LA Knight. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. Or maybe they want to get it to Roman Reigns, or maybe they want to do this or that. Like, it's weird. They find themselves in a very difficult situation, I think.
Yeah, I do believe also that, like, Jimmy might interfere with that match as well, too.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you like, he's kind of blaming Jay for pushing him and LA Knight out. But if you look at the footage, he got Jay didn't get to them in time. They rolled over.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think it's interesting because the rumor was, while we're on the subject of Jey Uso, the rumor was that they want to build some sort of feud between Jay and Roman Reigns, and that's where they're going eventually. That's also the only reason I can potentially see Jay winning this belt. Is like, you have Jay win this belt so that you can eventually get it to Roman, so that you can then use Roman to enhance this belt in a similar way that you did to the other one, but maybe not for as long a period of time.
Yeah, because I know they're building up Roman and Braun Breaker. That's the dream match that right now is going. I did find it kind of weird that they didn't interfere in the Battle Royale.
I agree. Yeah, I found that weird.
Like, I was expecting to come in and then just start chucking people over.
Yeah. I did absolutely find that weird. I agree with you. It was so strange. But, we'll see where they go with it. Like I said, I think I never wish injuries on anybody. Like I said, the one minuscule positive from it is it gives someone the chance to step up and achieve something, right? And we have... Go on.
Do you think Cody loses the belt to Drew so he can spend some time at home with his newborn?
Possibly. I have been thinking that that's possible because
I think Randy's going to cause Cody the belt.
So I think there is a storyline way they can do it that makes sense with Randy, as you say. But also, I think that even if you look at Triple H's recent, like, he's tweeted about Cody a few times and how Cody actually puts in... Cody does seem very John Cena-like. I know people have made that comparison before, but he seems very like, I'm willing to travel anywhere. I'll function on 3 hours sleep. I'll do what the company needs me to do. Do you know what I mean? But I think that because of that, they will also allow him to do what he wants to do. So if he turns around and says, do you know what? I want a month or two at home with my newborn child, they're going to let him have that, I would imagine. Especially around this time, because imagine if he loses the belt to Drew, right? You have this thing where you can have him come back and create history. People may or may not like it, but have him win the Royal Rumble again.
Yeah.
Like, because he would then tie Stone Cold Steve Austin for winning the Rumble 3 times, which is like a piece of history. Like, there are things they could do with Cody if they decide to let him have some time off.
Yeah, because like they could be building something against him and Randy, but I also think Randy took out Jacob Fatu.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
And Fatu is apparently going to be back for War Games. Apparently, like...
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because he's getting his mouth redone. I guess there's some issues there. But the rumor is apparently that everything's gone fine and he should be back in time for Survivor Series.
That's good to hear that, because I'm a big fan of Jacob Fatu. I think he's great. I think he's really good.
Yeah, when he first joined, like, here's the thing. I don't like anybody that's in the bloodline. But the moment they kind of spin off, like, they spinned him off and turned him into a face. And, like...
Yeah.
He's, as he says, keeping it 100. Like, he's doing extremely good.
And he's just an animal. And we call Brock Lesnar the Beast. But I think Jacob Fatu is a beast.
Like, I know Cody, like, he said specifically that he doesn't want to go heel, and I don't know whether or not that's just a work and that Cody is the one that injured Jacob Fatu.
So I think that Cody is going to go heel. I think the thing about him not wanting to go heel is a work.
Yeah.
Because I think they would be stupid, quite frankly, WWE would be stupid if they make the same mistake with Cody as they did with John Cena. And what I mean by that is they kept John Cena face for so long that they basically made it impossible to turn him heel, which pigeonholed him into a certain role that people eventually got bored of. And you don't want that to happen with Cody because you want him to be able to turn heel, have a heel run, and then eventually redeem himself as a face. And look at, quite frankly, look at what happened with Roman Reigns, right? Roman Reigns becomes one of the biggest heels in the history of the industry when people didn't like him as a face. And then after that heel run, he comes back as one of the biggest faces. It's like, so
See, like,
sometimes becoming a heel can make you a bigger face in the long run, is what I would say.
I would love, like, this would never happen ever, but if they did the thing where, like, Cody was, revealed to be the person that injured him or whatever like that, and say, like, the SmackDown GM Nick Aldis comes in or whatever, and, like, Cody, it's like, I want you to look at this, and it's footage of him, like, her damaging Fatu, whatever, and then Cody just, like, almost like snaps, and then, like, the camera cuts to Aldis and then back, and then he's got Stardust's face paint on, and it's this, like, split personality type of thing. But
that would be hilarious. Now, I know, so I can guarantee you one thing that's going to happen. If Cody turns heel, he will stop bleaching his hair and his hair will be black.
Good.
Because that will be the signifying factor. I just think that Cody being this Homelander type of heel is also, it's a layup. That's a layup of storytelling. Is make Cody like the bad version of what John Cena was. Do you know what I mean? Make him this guy that is so good that he starts to believe he's better than everybody else, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. But we do have lots of video game stuff to talk about today. Where do you want to start with video game news, Jeff?
I'll just go to my list that I have displayed here. I'm just going to put it in a window where I can see us as well.
Nice.
Okay. We'll be talking about this game shortly here, but Pokemon Legends ZA sales have started well, according to the Pokemon Company. This news and all today's news comes from BGC. In a statement posted on the company's official corporate website, it was announced that the game has sold 5.8 million copies in its first week. Pokemon also notes that of these 5.8 million units, that half, which include both physical and digital versions, about half of these were played on Switch 2. Twitter user Pierre485, who specializes in video game sales data, noted that the figure makes Pokemon ZA the fifth best performing game in the series in terms of week 1 sales. The 4 games above it are Nintendo Switch titles. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million in 3 days. Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is my favorite Pokemon game, sold 6.5 million in 3 days. Pokemon Sword and Shield sold 6 million in 3 days, and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl also sold 6 million in 3 days. I think ZA is better than Diamond and Shining Pearl. I think it is better than Sword and Shield. And I think in terms of just performance and certain visuals, it's kind of better than Scarlet and Violet. I will say I don't find it as good as Legends Arceus, and I'll get into that when I talk about the game.
Definitely. Okay.
But like, this is a very telling thing when you look at it and half the sales are on Switch 2. And
for sure.
For people that have bought the Switch 2 version and not just upgraded, because there's this weird thing that I haven't been able to confirm, but IGN said that if you have the Switch 1 version and you get the upgrade pack, all it does is it unlocks faster frame rates and better resolution, but it doesn't download the texture pack that Switch 2 users get on their native version of the game.
Yeah, if that's true, that's so weird.
That is fucked up.
That is so weird.
weird, but still, it is selling extremely good, and I think as we get into Christmas, it's going to sell even more. Like, I think by Christmas, I think it'll top at least 7 million. At
Yeah, I
least
wouldn't
probably
be
even eight.
surprised. I mean, at the end of the day, this is well, obviously we've got Metroid at some point, but this is the kind of one of the big Nintendo games right now, and with them just having in the recent months a new console launch,
Yeah,
this is basically it. This was always going to be a guaranteed hit in some ways, no matter the quality of the game, right? Because
well, it's
when
Pokemon.
you're in
Like it
when
just
you
sells.
yeah, Pokemon always sells. People often buy like multiple copies of it. You know, it's one of those things. So yes, I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see this reach much higher numbers by the
And
end of the year.
this is part of the spin-off series, like the Legend series, which to me I think are better games. Like, but I dive more into it. But I think it has the best combat of the series. However, it does
Yeah,
have
so I
one
have.
flaw.
So what I will say, just on that note for a minute, I know that we're going to speak more about it later, but I have seen that the combat system is very different
Hmm.
compared to what you might be used to from a Pokemon game.
To me, it
So
just has one flaw.
yeah,
And we'll get into that in a bit.
yeah, for sure.
Or,
But we of course have more news here today.
yeah,
So where I assume, well, I don't know which order you have it open in, but I would like to go to Ubisoft next because we've talked
sure.
about them quite a lot recently,
Yeah.
and
All
there's
right.
some more not good news here coming out of
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
And this is so weird. Ubisoft Studio, Massive Entertainment, has asked staff to volunteer themselves to be laid off. The Swedish developer, which is best known for Tom Clancy's The Division series, but most recently worked on Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, is the latest Ubisoft studio to announce a change in structure. In a post on their official Twitter account, Massive stated that it planned to strengthen its focus on the Division series and the Snowdrop engine, and that as a result, it was reducing its numbers. First off, that's almost like the opposite thing that you want.
Yeah.
Like if you're focusing on those things, and I mean, like we also had a Division game that was just canceled, Heartland. Um,
So there's a couple of things I'll say on this for a minute. Firstly, because you just mentioned it, there was a Division game that was cancelled, but technically that was being made by a different studio.
yeah,
So I do think that's a slightly different case. However, what surprises me most about this is whether you liked games like Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws. I think that it would be hard to say that they weren't at least good video games. And on that note, I think that Massive Entertainment have been Ubisoft's most consistent. I think they've been Ubisoft's most consistent studio for
mhm,
several years now, and I think that they clearly have Ubisoft's best development engine as well. If I
yeah.
am cutting out a bit audio-wise, I do apologize. There's some bad weather here at the moment. Hopefully that will pass over and everything will be fine.
Okay. Going back to the story here, the studio is asking staff to volunteer for career transitions, presumably in an attempt to identify who's willing to be laid off or before it has to potentially start its own layoff procedure. As part of our ongoing evolution and long term planning, we have recently realigned our teams and resources, strengthening our roadmap, ensuring our continued focus on the Division franchise and technologies, including Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect, that power our games, the statement reads. There's more to the quote here as well, too, but yeah, it's so weird. Like, I hate that PR speak where it's just like, hey, we need to really focus on this series and like really bring out the best of it, but we need to do it with less people.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's really weird. I guess the only thing I would say on it is that obviously Massive having expanded in recent years away from the Division and working on the likes of Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar, Avatar is actually getting a pretty neat update soon. I don't know if you've seen this, Jeff.
Yeah,
but
third person and the whole bunch of stuff, content wise and whatnot. Like, I'd love to go back and play it, but I don't have access to the packs because somebody else has the deluxe edition. But I won't name any names.
Yeah, the person that got really ill like the day after I got the code and then couldn't review the game.
I'll reach out and see if I can get the packs and stuff like that because I would love to play more of that game, especially in third person. Fuck, it looks so good.
It does. When I saw the trailer for the third person, like, looks really good. But what I was going to say is that I imagine that studio expanded greatly to make those two games outside of the Division, right? And I do think that if they're planning to not really make games outside of the Division anymore and focus on the Division and engine improvements, then I can understand why they would sort of shrink themselves again a little bit. Because as I've mentioned previously, in the boomer years for gaming that were the pandemic years in real life, everybody overexpanded, right? Like, quite frankly, every single studio overexpanded because there was lots of money to go around because more and more people were engaging with gaming. And in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, even longer really, probably 2 years now, we have seen a re-equalization of the industry and probably an overcorrection because obviously the economy in the world isn't great right now. So I can understand it. Yes, it's weird. I do think the weird part of it is they're not straight up saying, "Oh, we're making you redundant." They're literally asking people to put themselves forward and be like, "Hey, I don't mind leaving," kind of thing. It's a very different situation. I don't think I've ever seen a company do this before.
Yeah, it is very weird because, like, essentially, like, you have sorry, Banter is wanting to cuddle. He's just being a big baby.
It's okay. He's part of the crew here. Like, he secretly reviews every game. Like, he's the one. He tells Jeff what the score for every game should be.
He's reviewing Ninja Gaiden 4. He's really good at it. Like, oh wow, all right. It's the Banter show.
Like, no, I want to be on the camera.
I'm the co-host now. All right.
Oh god.
Like, it is a very interesting story. Oh wow. Okay, he's laying down here. Right.
Good lord. I apologize, but Banter has taken over the show.
It's the Banter show, right?
Oh god. If you're listening to the audio right now, please flick over to the video in your YouTube tab and just see what is going on, because Banter, if you've seen him before, is not as small anymore as he once was.
No, he's a big old chonker. Like, this story is interesting just for the simple fact that again, like, they're reaching out to staff and they're being like, hey, who wants to quit? And you might have some people who have connections with other studios that are like, hey, I'd love to come and work for you. And then all of a sudden that makes it a lot easier. Like, I get it. They're being
and also I think that what makes it extra interesting on top of that is they mention about, like, career transition type stuff. So it almost seems like they're actually going to help people find other jobs and potentially other jobs within other studios at Ubisoft as well. So it's very, very interesting. I think, I wish that we had some more information on this situation, because it just is so different to what we've seen from other studios, right? It's a different way of handling what we've seen other studios do. So I would really, if you're a developer at Massive Entertainment who has decided to leave or something like that, and or if you've worked there previously and want to give us some information on why this might be happening, please feel free to reach out, because I genuinely would love to know more, just from my own knowledge, more than anything. This is a
Yeah,
very unique situation.
very, very weird.
What do we have up next, Jeff?
All right, so Kirby Air Riders director Masahiro Sakurai says the game won't be getting any DLC and won't be followed by a sequel.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Sakurai's previous title, Super Smash Brothers, had content for pretty much 3 years. They've added 12 playable characters. It's the biggest
Yes.
roster in video game history, pretty much. This won't be the case for Kirby Air Riders, as Sakurai has said that he will release it as a finished project. Um, there was an hour-long Air Riders Direct, which broke down the game into great detail, and spoke that the fans kind of compelled him to kind of finish it and to work on it. He says, in this day and age, creating a game and bringing it to life takes a surprising amount of effort, but I think that's reflected in the final product, so I hope you enjoy it. I do believe the passion and support from fans was a big reason why this game was made. You have to spend a lot of money and time to make these games, so those wishes are not always granted. Knowing that, I'm grateful both for the support to the previous game and to thanks for the support and efforts of a great many people we're able to make this game a reality. Just so you know, we're not planning any DLC. Everything is here. Also, I'm not planning to make this an ongoing series. I've thrown everything I have into this game from the start, so I hope you don't miss this opportunity. So there's a free demo event that's going to be running on November 8th to 9th and 15th to 16th, and then it releases later that month. I mean, I'm definitely not picking it up just because I'm not a fan of Kirby, and like maybe this trailer will change me. Maybe the direct will change me. It did for Banana, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I still haven't played that, can I just say?
It is excellent. I do have to get back to it, but I will say the bosses are just not great. But back onto Kirby, this didn't he kind of come out of retirement to make this game? Like, wasn't
I
there some
believe
type of
so. Yeah, I believe
retirement
so.
announcement?
So,
So yeah, it'll be interesting because he is one of the most celebrated creators Nintendo
yeah.
has, or even the industry
And,
has.
and even the way that he's talking about this game, it almost seems like his last hurrah, right?
Yeah,
Of
and
like,
like
I've poured everything I can into this game, and we'll be releasing it as a fully finished product,
yeah,
which is something he hasn't historically done. That almost makes me think that it's like, yeah, this is my almost. I'm not saying this is his magnum opus, right?
yeah.
But that is almost how it's coming across.
Like I would almost love him to be part of the creation of the next Smash Brothers. Maybe not directing it, but just kind of a consultant on it, because that
Yes.
game is going to take all the help it needs to succeed. Considering that you're trying to follow up. Same thing with Mario Kart 8, with
Oh
Mario
yeah.
Kart World. You're trying to follow it up with a game that has way more content that you're probably going to ship with.
Yeah. True. Very true.
So that'll be an interesting one. Next up here, more layoffs, unfortunately. Video game website The Gamer has suffered widespread layoffs, according to former staff. On Wednesday, several former members of the site's editorial team took to social media to announce that they've been laid off. According to multiple former employees speaking anonymously to VGC, entire sections have been completely decimated. According to those still at the outlet, the gamer will continue in its slimmed down form, though those who remain aren't clear on how that will manifest. According to staff who spoke to VGC, these layoffs have been expected, but the scale has surprised those who still are at the site. Um, Features lead Jade King took to Twitter to comment that her entire team had been let go, part of the reshuffling at the site, stating Valnet unfortunately let go of the entire the Gamer features team alongside several other staff members. Many incredible, talented, and hardworking writers I've had the pleasure of working over the past few years. News editor Rion Brennan, who remains at the site at the time of writing, spoke on Blue Sky, saying, "The gamer is losing so much talent today. It breaks my heart on a personal and professional level. I cannot put the loss into words. Everyone being laid off today is incredible and would be an asset to your team. They have jumped through more hoops than you can imagine. Hire them." So this sucks. Like this is another one of those corporate restructuring stuff, which is why some teams have kind of just bought themselves out to make their own stuff. People like Giant Bomb, people like Game Informer,
Yeah.
they've kind of come back stronger, and they don't really have to answer to anyone.
Yeah. It's the reason that I've kind of joked to you in the past that if we ever get to the point where we sell this website, if our website ever became big enough to be acquired by a more conglomerate
Hey, if they give me
media.
$15 million, I'm taking that money and bouncing.
Well, that's my thing. That's kind of what I'm saying to you is like, if I sold the website, I wouldn't stay. Like some people sell their websites and they go, but I'm going to stay to run it, right? But the problem is there's something. Being independent is very, very hard. And you'll notice that sometimes myself and Jeff maybe don't do as much news as we could, right? But we have day jobs and we try our best to do as much as we can. And with me, I also write for another website as well. And these things don't make us, unfortunately, we're not in the position where they make us money. So we don't have this same worry as lots of other people in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And that's why every time I hear about things like this, it's like these are people's livelihoods and they've worked for years to get to these places in lots of cases. And the Gamer isn't a site I've ever used that much.
No, I'm only aware of it by name.
Yeah, it's a very, it's a well-known outlet that there are huge fans of, and it's always disappointing. And look, full disclosure, we are obviously on OpenCritic, and they are owned by Valnet, so take our opinions with a pinch of salt.
I thought they owned a Metacritic.
No, OpenCritic.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So take our opinions with a pinch of salt. But what I would say is I'm always sad to see people get let go. If anybody out there sees this podcast, and look, I'll say it quite frankly, we are not in the financial position to pay you, but while you're looking for a job, if you have any content such as reviews that you would like somewhere to post, I'm sure that's something myself and Jeff would consider.
Yeah, we because barely have money to survive right now.
Because I know that when you're a creative person who wants to get your opinion out there, sometimes just having a place to post something is more than enough. And while we cannot pay you, we can offer you potential continued access to games to do coverage for us while you look for a full-time paying job. So if there is anybody out there who's recently lost their job from the Gamer or any other outlet, feel free to contact us, and I'm sure that it's something myself and Jeff would consider, because I know that if Jeff said to me one day, do you know what, we're shutting down the site, I would be gutted and I would go and find somewhere else to write the right things, So, yeah, I really feel for all of you, and I hope that you land on your feet. But it's becoming increasingly more difficult in this industry. And I think that's the thing that's concerning me. And maybe this is an old man yelling at the sky kind of thing, right? And maybe it's slightly hypocritical because we're here doing a podcast that's going to go up on YouTube. But I think that the over-reliance on content creators for video game coverage has actually really hurt the industry as a whole. And I'm not blaming PR companies or publishers or developers for that, because at the end of the day, they're going to follow the audience where the audience goes, right? But the fact that so much of the audience has transitioned to video-based content, and most of the time don't even want reviews and don't want opinions and don't care about news. They just want people who say the thing that they want to hear them say, kind of thing. It's really disheartening, because you know, it's important to have media for anything. It's important to have journalists and media personalities who will give you their real opinion. And it's a real shame. Like, I believe it was it the editorial team that you said the whole editorial team have been laid off?
The
And it's like
features team.
the features team. So like, and features is one of those things, right, where they are not reporting news. They're doing things like, oh, here are the top 10 such and such, or here's this and here's that, right? And those things are often opinion pieces, or what we might refer to as editorials. Features are very similar to editorials in that way. And what I would say is, if we've got to the place where we don't need people sharing their opinions anymore, because, and this is another thing, I've seen some outlets using AI for this stuff now, is really, really disheartening. And look, we talk about layoffs in the games industry all the time, and that's usually from the developer and publisher side of things. But let's make no mistake about it. The games media side of the industry has sort of fallen apart over the last 2 to 3 years. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely
crazy.
been interesting to see, like, even like sites that have like massive appeal,
Yeah.
just not succeeding.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and that's why, look, we're huge fans of the work that VGC does. And that's why we source a lot of our news that we share here from them, because you should support them. They are independent, and yes, you can argue they had financial support from another company in the past to help them get their start. I get that. But they're still independent, the same way that Giant Bomb is now fully independent and they're doing their own thing, right? We are fully independent. The OuterHaven.net is fully independent. And the one huge advantage of being fully independent is we can do what we want to do on our timeline, and we are not beholden to anybody. So, me, like, we were recent, and it was a joke, but I'll give you an example. We were recently talking about, how can I put it? We were recently talking about basically putting a game in our list for awards at the end of the year just for a laugh, because we thought it would be funny, because this game is something that will not get released on certain platforms due to what it is. And it's like, but we can do that because we own our own website, right? And we have a lot more freedom, is what I'm trying to say. But freedom comes at a price of, like Jeff said, he's struggling to live, and that's not me trying to put Jeff down. It's just the reality of life.
Yeah, that's why I love Game Pass so much. Like, yeah, it's more expensive than it was, but I'm still getting enough value out of it where I can review 4 or 5 games a month just off Game Pass alone.
Yeah.
And have,
and also because for us in particular, just to transition a minute, take a little tangent, as we've mentioned before, if you're not familiar with us and you're new here, we're very fortunate to work with loads of PR companies, and we love them. We thank them for the opportunity. Jeff recently reviewed Battlefield 6, for example. We got a code for that from EA. That was lovely, right? We have a good relationship with Ubisoft, as you might have seen in the past, where we cover many of their games, if not all of them, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And we also work with smaller publishers as well. But there are circumstances where maybe we're not quite fortunate enough to get a game, and we're not stupid. We're not going to sit here and be like, we are entitled. Nobody's entitled to anything, right? We always appreciate any time we get the opportunity to provide coverage for a game, but there are circumstances where we don't we don't get to get those codes. So if we then want to cover the game, we have to pay for it out of our own pocket. And with the rising costs of living, that is not always possible, which is why we're always really mindful of the general gamer, because we ultimately, yes, we have a website and we are the games media. We're not just some silly little blog. You know, we've spoken about how we've expanded massively recently. And in the last 3 months, I think we've had like 200,000 people visit the website. So thank you if you're one of those people. We really appreciate you, because we have massively grown and we are working as hard as we can to get as much access as we can. But for example, and look, again, this is not me criticizing any PR company. I want to be very clear, because we are not default entitled to anything. But one game that we recently wanted to cover that we weren't fortunate enough to get code for, but it feeds directly into Jeff's thing about Game Pass, is Ninja Gaiden 4, right, Jeff? Like,
Yeah.
we didn't get code for that game.
Been on fucking fire this month.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, and yes, okay, I bought, for example, I was going to mention later, but I bought Power Wash Simulator 2 on Steam, but I didn't have to. I could have just played it on Game Pass. The reason I purchased it is purely because I've been having some issues with Game Pass on PC, and I'd rather play the game on PC. That was the only reason. Same thing with Keeper, which I will eventually be covering for us for review as well. But again, these are just those 3 games alone are coming to Game Pass, right? And
yeah, Pacific Drive just got added as well. Bounty Star, which Kelvin on the site is going to be covering.
Yeah. So, and this, again, this is not me shilling for Game Pass either.
I'll shill. I'll do
it. But what I'm trying to explain to people who maybe don't understand how games media works is like, yeah, we are very fortunate to get lots of games every year for free through being given code to provide coverage, right? We are also not a major enough site yet where we get everything. And, you know, we are growing and we've been able to expand the team through that, but we don't earn money right now, so we're not able to pay people. Like, everybody in our team are people who want to be there because they care about these things. And Jeff just mentioned Kelvin. Kelvin will probably only ever cover certain types of game for us. But that's because he's very passionate about those types of games.
Yeah, and he just wants to help the site as well, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's been great as well.
So all of that stuff's been really helpful. And I guess what I would say is, on this gamer thing, it's really sad. And I just want to remind people, please go and support your favorite independent gaming website or outlet in whichever way that you can. Whether, you know, like I said, for us, even just going to the website and visiting a few pages and reading a few things, that helps massively. Like, I think both me and Jeff can say, since our audience has grown so much in the last sort of 12 months or so, we have seen that companies have been more willing to work with us, right, Jeff? And
yeah, for sure.
And like earlier this year, for example, I know that Jeff got a code for South of Midnight, and that was one of our first codes ever from Xbox, I believe. And it's like, but that's because we've grown. So it's thanks to you people that are supporting this podcast and supporting the website.
Yeah,
so what I would say is, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That is just clicking on things and watching them or reading them helps so much. The one thing I'll say while we're on the subject is, if you're here watching this and you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe, because from a video content perspective, because we're very limited in the time that we have, I would love to do more on YouTube for us. But right now, because of our small subscriber number, I don't know whether it's worth dedicating the time it would take me to do that without you guys subscribing, right? So if you can subscribe and let me know that you'd like to see more video content from Analog Stick Gaming, whether that be video versions of our written reviews, which are quite easy to do in the grand scheme of things. They're more easy than you would think, given that we write them up for the website anyway. Whether that be more streams or any other sorts of things, I need you to subscribe and tell me. So please, if you're watching this podcast or even listening in the background while you do something else, just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It will help us on this platform specifically. And like I said, furthermore than that, go to the website and read even if you read one article a day on the website, that helps us way more than you think. So please do that, or if it's not for us, do it over at VGC or the outerhaven.net or any other manner of independent gaming websites. Because the other thing is, these people who've just been let go from the Gamer, they're now going to be looking for jobs, right? And the more independent places they have that they can go and work and that can support them financially, or even just give them a space to do what they enjoy doing, that's great. That is great. And so please go and support your independent outlets. But now let's move on, Jeff, to the next news story of the day.
Sure. This one's really weird. The appearance of an HD remaster of Scarface, The World Is Yours, has taken some by surprise, especially a modder who claims it may not be a legitimate release. Now, this news has had an update, and I'll do the update at the end. The game's publisher has now posted, earlier today, as a re-release of the official Scarface game, which was originally released back in 2006 and 2007 with the Wii version. The game is then listed on Steam, with the parent publisher, EC Digital, posting a statement that it had been unintentionally pushed live on a different platform earlier than expected, and was now accelerating our efforts to finalize a Steam version 2. The listing also claims that when the game is released on Steam, it will include an optional HD graphic upgrade, which uses AI-assisted tools to improve certain elements. So, the what was kind of interesting as well is when Reddit user PC Machinima bought the Epic Game Store version, they discovered that it was essentially the existing PC version of the game with 2 fan-made patches, Silent Patch and Fusion Fix, pre-installed. This discovery led to a statement on Twitter by Silent, the developer behind the Silent Pad mod, who said they weren't contacted and informed about its inclusion. They also suggested, presumably from their previous work on the game, that they'd be surprised if Scarface movie rights holder NBC Universal was even aware of the release. So the update is, the game's publisher has now posted an update saying it has entered urgent discussions with multiple parties concerning the project's status. After careful consideration, we believe that temporarily hiding the store page is the most appropriate step forward, and we've already begun coordinating with Valve to make that happen. So what's interesting is somebody close to the development of the game knows flat out that the license holder has no interest whatsoever in re-releasing that game. So the fact that they've gone ahead and done this, they've taken mod patches from everyone, they've AI upscaling, like all this type of stuff. This is a very interesting story because it was pushed live on Steam accidentally. And they don't even have the rights to it. I mean, we've seen tons of right holders withhold
was it
licenses.
The question is, was it pushed live accidentally?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly, but it's such a weird story.
Because how many I'll give you an idea from a movie perspective. Many, many, many years ago at this point, I don't know if you remember, Jeff, but there was a leak of a Deadpool screen test that happened.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who leaked this till many years later.
The issue with that, though, is there's no precedent precedent for Deadpool having an existing licensed movie where they have to
Yeah.
get rights for certain things. Like
Mm.
it's a little bit different because
Yes.
apparently, again, one modder who is close to the situation
Mm.
knows that the right holder has no interest in releasing it. So for them to go
That's
ahead and
interesting.
even produce something like this
Yeah.
is really interesting.
My question about it would be, have they done this on purpose
Yeah.
as a way of trying to prove to the rights holder, oh, there is actually interest here, and if you give us the rights to do this, there is some money to be made, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we'll definitely follow up on it if anything comes, but it's such a weird story, especially with the fact
It's
that these older games are getting these like AI remasters. I mean, we saw how
yes.
devastating that was with Grand Theft Auto, where some of the storefronts
Oh
just
my
had
god,
gibberish.
yeah. Yeah. It's
But
it's crazy. And look, I've always said in the regards to AI, whether it be in writing or in game development, I think AI is an amazing tool that can be supportive to allow you to do your job even better. It shouldn't be doing your job for you.
yeah,
So there we go.
all right.
What do we have up next, Jeff?
Our last news piece of the day is a very interesting one, and one that I kind of saw coming in terms of certain consequences, but not as extreme as this is. And that's Remedy Entertainment has announced that CEO Tero Vertala has left his role with immediate effect. In a statement to investors, the company explained that Vertala and the board of directors have mutually agreed that Tero will step down from his position as the company's CEO with immediate effect. Vertala was appointed CEO in August of 2016 and will now continue at the service of the company during a transition period where he will help with the handover of duties to the new CEO. Remedy co-founder Marcus Mackay has been appointed as interim CEO until a permanent replacement can be found, and will step down as his role of chairman as the board as a result. I want to thank Vertolo for substantially contribution to the management and Remedy since 2016. I personally thank Tero for good cooperation with him and the best for the future. Although the statement doesn't specify the exact reason why Vertala is no longer as Remedy CEO, the announcement just comes after 12 days after the company issued a profit warning to shareholders due to weak sales of FPC Firebreak. The PvE first-person shooter, which is set in the Control universe, is Remedy's first full multiplayer game. When it was released in June, Remedy reported that launch sales had underperformed, but committed to improving the game based on player feedback. Remedy CEO steps down 2 weeks after it's issued a profit warning due to FBC Firebreak's weak sales. FBC Firebreak reached more than 1 million players in its first day, but Remedy says most of those were playing on Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. So there's more to this story to definitely check out. But yeah, like when I saw FBC Firebreak, when I played it for the first time, I honestly said to myself, who is this for?
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's tied to the Control universe, but so barely is it actually connected. Like it has things and themes and all this other type of stuff, but in an era of the types of shooters that are out there for co-op, after playing it at one time, I was like, I'm good. I don't need to play this ever again. I never was compelled to even give it the time of day. Um, so like if this guy's stepping down because of that or whatever the case is, like it's hard to say exactly what's going to go on, but Remedy's still going to remain a strong team. I mean, they still have
Yeah, so
IPs that people
I
like.
think there's a couple of things here that we need. So I know that they're pointing to FBC Firebreak as the reason. I think we also have to remember that it took what I consider to be an amazing game, Alan Wake 2, a really long time to break even, right? And yes, okay, there was less financial pressure on Remedy specifically for Alan Wake 2 because Epic paid for that entire game. Like,
Yeah.
we know that at this point that Epic actually did pay for the entire game, which is why Tim Sweeney alluded to the game will never come to Steam on PC because Epic paid for the entire game, so they're going to keep it on their own storefront exclusively forever, right? Which is stupid. quite frankly. But what I'm trying to say is, when you look at it from a business perspective, a CEO's job is to steer the company. And yes, he's not necessarily making all of the day-to-day, moment-to-moment decisions, right?
Yeah.
But his job is to steer the company towards the most financially successful things possible. That is effectively his role. And quite frankly, the last two things they've done haven't performed as well financially. One of them definitely hasn't, in the sense of Alan Wake 2 probably should be a lot more successful financially than it is, based on the quality of the game.
Work out a deal to put it on Steam, even if like Epic got like a portion of that money as well, they make a fucking killing, because there's a lot of people that refuse to play on Epic.
Absolutely, I agree. But then when you look at something like FBC Firebreak, I think they made a little bit of a mistake with that game. And I don't mean with the design of the game or anything like that. I commend Remedy for taking a creative risk and doing something different for them, right? I think that is never going to be something that I criticize. However, I think they actually made a mistake of, you're doing a game that isn't a free-to-play game, but yet you're putting it on both subscription services at the same time. I think that's a mistake. When you're not a free-to-play game, you shouldn't be on both subscription services. You should maybe be on one to help to push interest and things like that. But because imagine, for example, if they were only on PlayStation Plus, or if they had only been on Game Pass, how many of those people would have then been like, do you know what? I'm playing it on Game Pass, and they would have told their friends over on PlayStation, and their friends might have bought the game to play with them. Do you know what I mean? So I think that they made a little bit of a strategic, in my opinion, they made a bit of a strategic mistake with it in maybe they weren't, I think they weren't as bullish enough about the game as they probably should have been. And they should have understood that there is an interest in the universe they've created. Yes, I agree with you, Jeff, that ultimately the issue with that, with FBC Firebreak in particular, was this game isn't really doing anything different within this genre outside of being set in a universe that people might have a deeper interest in compared to others. But from a mechanical gameplay standpoint, it wasn't really doing anything different. So once you had played it a few times, especially with the limited content that was available at launch, it probably is something that you didn't ever need to play again. And that is, for a multiplayer game, that is not something that you want to hear or see, right? So I knew that something was coming after the failure, what I'll call the failure of FBC Firebreak. But I didn't think it would be this big or this quickly. You know what I mean? But the fact that the CEO has stepped down, like, I really do wonder what's going to happen now, because we know they're working on a sequel to Control. We know they're working on a few other things as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go. Obviously, they need to find a new full-time CEO, so it's going to be interesting. The one concern I have...
Max Payne.
Yeah, true, yeah. They're doing they got the... Well, they made a deal, didn't they? They made a deal with Rockstar to remaster Max Payne 1 and 2 as well, or remake, I should say. It's going to be really interesting, because I do think those will be successful. Because I think people want to play those games even today, but they're not as playable as they perhaps should be.
Let's just put Sam Lake in charge.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Lake from what I understand, from a creative standpoint, Sam Lake is in charge of the studio. I don't know if he should be the businessman in charge, of course, What my one concern is, and I think we can all relate to this because we've seen it affect many, many companies in the past, from Microsoft to Sony to even Nintendo to a certain extent. When the person at the top changes, usually the direction of the company also changes. And that would be my one concern, because from a purely creative, artistic standpoint, I would argue that Remedy in the last decade, or in the last decade plus, has probably done the best work they've ever done. Do you know what I mean? They've probably, because they've made some, even though all of their things have never been quite as financially successful as they perhaps have deserved to be in some cases. What we love about Remedy is their willingness to take a creative risk and make something different that no one else is really making, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they share a lot in common with Bithell Games
yeah,
in regards to their games are constantly talked about but rarely purchased.
yeah, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. I'm a huge fan of Remedy, of course, so I will be keeping a close eye on this. But I do hope that they can continue to be successful, get to their next project, whether that be the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake or Control 2. One of those two things is next. We don't actually know which one, because I think that something like Control 2, I can imagine that being a financial success, because people who wouldn't normally play a Remedy game played Control, and a lot of those people liked it.
Yeah.
So Control became a bigger hit over time, which weirdly is always the case with the Remedy games. That's the part I don't get, is their games never sell well at full price, but they're always the games where it's like, oh, that looks really cool, and then people pick it up like 2 years after it's been released. But
Yeah,
by that
it's
time,
similar to like Ubisoft. A lot of people like hold off buying Ubisoft games because usually in 2 months they go for half price.
yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I do wish Remedy all the best,
Yeah.
and I hope that they get a CEO that, can align with their creative visions while also pushing them towards as much financial stability as possible, because I do not want to see Remedy go away. I think that would
Yeah,
be a huge loss for the industry.
for sure.
Now we have to talk about some games we've been playing. We still got a little bit of time here. I know. So as I mentioned to you before we recorded, Jeff, I'll go first because I'm actually playing a lot of things I can't talk about right now. A few of those things are embargoed for us here on Analog Stick Gaming, and a couple of them are embargoed over on the Outer Haven. But in the coming weeks, you will have lots of content from me in terms of reviews and other types of coverage. But I have also picked up several games that I will be covering for us here at Analog Stick Gaming. So I mentioned earlier Keeper and also Power Wash Simulator 2. But I've also picked up a game, and I know Jeff's aware of this one, but I think many people might not be, is a game called Dispatch, which is basically a Telltale style game that is
Yeah,
almost
it's
like
got
a comic
Aaron
book.
Paul from Breaking
Yeah,
Bad. Lana Pierce is on it as well too.
yeah,
It's a who's who of voice actors and a lot of
yeah.
really talented folk.
So that's going to be really interesting. I'm going to try and knock that one out at some point. And these things are more, I would expect those later in November, probably, because I've got, like I said, because I have so many embargoed things right now. I'm super busy, and I know Jeff is also really busy. We did get some time to play a game last night, though, Jeff, which I know you're going to be putting a review out for very soon, I believe.
Yeah, review might be out today. I've got most of it written already. But
Fantastic. And that is,
yeah,
of
we've been
course, Painkiller.
Painkiller. Yeah,
So tell people, what is it?
this is a reimagining. It barely has any connective tissue to the original, so
Yeah.
there's not really too much of a story other than like you're in purgatory, you're serving your sentence, you are talking to Metatron, not the Transformer, and then to stop this person, Azazel, from taking over everything. You fight his demons and stuff. So yeah, we played a good chunk of it. There's 9 stages, and then there's like a arena uh, mode, basically, where it's meant to be a lot harder. It's almost like you purchase, or you can upgrade your character with this different progression system, and you have different tools and abilities that you can use and go in. I've only played it once, but I've beat Painkiller. The last boss, I got bounced off the corner, and when it respawned me, at the corner, so I just kept falling, and I had to redo that whole level. But the one thing I will say, and I won't spoil anything, this game has no ending.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
finish the last level, you go and talk to someone, and you kind of share little parts of your backstory, and you do this thing, and then it just ends. There's no credits. There's no the end. There's no prompt or anything that lets you know that you've just beat the game. And I've always been a believer that this is kind of the thing where I always believe in the journey is more important than the destination sometimes, because you have a lot of fun leading up to that, and then the destination can either succeed in making that trip worth it, or it can fail miserably, and then you feel like you've kind of wasted your time. And the latter is where I'm kind of feeling it. Like, the gameplay is amazing, the music is excellent. Like, if you love Doom 2016 and Dark Tide, you will absolutely love this game.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the fact that the story ends with no fanfare, no anything, is so weird. It almost feels like they're building up to add content to this to further that storyline.
Yeah.
It reminded me almost as well of like Assassin's Creed Shadows, where you get this like tip about, Noe or whatever, her mother, and then the
Yes.
game just ends.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I agree with you. So when we played Painkiller last night, I very quickly decided, because I do want to play more of the game. I think the gameplay is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
It
excellent.
it, it is basically Doom 2016, and you can play it in co-op, which makes it even better, in my opinion.
It's a better Doom 2016 than Dark Age.
Yeah, yeah. So, but what I would say is, I very quickly decided I do not care about the story in Painkiller. Like, I'm
Yeah,
playing
like
it for the gameplay.
there's not really a story. Like, you'll get a thing like Azazel will be like, "Hey, Metatron can't hear us right now. I'm gonna talk to you and try and threaten you." Blah blah blah. And then your character spouts a line back, and then characters will chatter every now
And
and
my
then.
character has the best VO in the entire
Oh
game.
dear lord, it's so bad. It's like, oh, the demons, they're attacking. Like, it's just like this like dead.
I
Honestly,
like
if it was text to speech, I would 100% believe it.
Yeah, and I even said to you when we were playing last night, I was like, is this guy supposed to be a robot? Because if he's supposed to be a robot, then the VO is brilliant. But I don't know if he is supposed to be a robot. So,
Yeah, I have no idea, but like, it was absolutely
yeah. Like, every line
trying to
that he
find
said, we were just laughing. We were
I'm
just
trying to find like a cast and crew and stuff to see who is who voices.
it's honestly, it's like, oh, I have found some health. Like, or it's so weird, and he'll say things that are completely off tone for the other characters and what they're saying. Like, it's just weird. But again, I want to go back to the gameplay, because I
Yeah,
love the gameplay here, and the guns, and like the weapons in particular, and the way that you can get like different little augments for them, and it changes the visual design of the weapon,
yeah.
and
And you
you
can go some
know,
pretty sick ways. Like, you could do like either this like single blast thing or electrical current, because like that electric
yeah,
gun
you love
is,
that one,
oh
yeah,
my god, I have it where the bullets ricochet and then they do more damage as they ricochet, and like
yeah.
I'm just like I got triple S rank on that one fucking wave that we were doing,
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
gameplay
I
is
also
is
got triple S
phenomenal.
rank at that time.
Yeah, the game is the gameplay. It feels good. It's nice to play, but I will say it is a very one and done type of thing. I don't
Yes.
see the point in grinding anything. Like
I
you're
agree.
not leveling up characters. You're leveling up your guns. You'll get that very quickly.
Yeah.
The characters don't even have attributes really, other than little perks.
And it's a shame because they've nailed the gameplay so well
Yeah,
that I would love it if there was a lot more content in this game. And actually, I would love it if it was more like a live service style game with this gameplay.
yeah, because like
Because,
to me, it shares a lot of resemblance with like Dark Tide in terms of like the moody atmosphere and the flood of enemies and stuff like
yeah,
that. Because like Doom has a lot of enemies, but they're strategically placed. You're not getting swarmed in hordes, but with Dark Tide, you kind of are.
yes,
And Dark Tide has things to work towards. It has loot, it has progression, it has all this type of stuff. And Painkiller is this 3-player co-op game where you have 9 levels and then this other arena thing, which is its own beast. But there's nothing to really grind towards. Yeah, you can get the tarot cards that give you perks during matches, and I've only unlocked like 5 of the, you know, probably 30 or 40 or whatever there are. But I
mm.
keep getting the same 3 every single time I'm doing the grab bag. And so like I don't know if I'm earning those cards in that
I
other
just use
mode.
the money one over and over again.
The money
Like,
one's great because like you want to, I bought the red costume for Ink, who is the character that I play as. You play as Void. There's 2 other characters, but if you could put a gun to my head and let me tell me their names, I probably wouldn't. The
Soul,
characters
I
are
think, is one of them.
so yeah, yeah. It's so weird. Like that game is like one side of the coin is this rusted, disgusting looking coin that's been like found in the street, and then the other side of the coin is this pristine
Yeah,
coin that's been kept in the best condition ever. And that's what this game
yeah,
is that its story and characters and content and ending are on that dirty side of the coin, but on the other side of it is absolutely amazing gameplay. The
yeah.
guns feel so freaking good, and the
Like,
level
I-
design and
and
aesthetics is amazing, and
I'll
the
say
music
this
too.
right now. I'll say this right now because I'm not reviewing it and Jeff is. If I was reviewing based on just those positive things that Jeff said just there, because I agree with all of them that those areas are the positives. If the review was based purely on those things, this would be either a 9 or a 10 for me on our scale.
Yeah, like it is unbelievably fun to play, and that is one thing that I will always fight for is that game. You put that game you put that controller in the hands of somebody who's never played it, and they will absolutely love it.
Yes,
But everything else that that game offers is just not great. Like
I
there's
agree.
no end game. There's no point to play it after you've really beaten it. There's not even
Mhm.
an ending, which is the weirdest fucking thing. And none of the
Yes.
characters, like none of the characters really have anything. Like I kind of wish like the opening mission is you would pick a character and they would have their own little tiny mission
Mhm.
about how they died and went to purgatory. Like it would have given me something to attach myself to it, but instead you're getting these small little stories. Like you find out how Ink died and why she died and why she's in purgatory. And that stuff's kind of cool. I just wish it was a little more front and center. I wish it was a little more loud in kind of like what it was trying to convey. Because
Yeah.
when you're playing in co-op and having a great time and the characters are talking to each other, you're not focusing on them. You're focusing on the action and all that kind of stuff.
Mm. For sure. So I know you've played a few other things, Jeff, and there's one thing you want to tease. Do you want to tease that thing first before you speak about Pokemon, or do you want to speak about Pokemon first?
All I'll say is like next podcast, I'm going to have a breakdown of Hot Wheels Let's Race versus the Fast and Furious Arcade Racer, because Game Mill decided to release 2 racing games on the exact same day.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. And I'll have some more time with Ninja Gaiden 4 by the time that we get to it. But yeah, I'll talk about Pokemon Z. We'll close out the episode with Pokemon ZA.
Yeah, tell me all about it, because I don't know
First
whether
off,
to buy this game or not.
this studio is amazing, and I will say, even if you have a Switch 1, just buy the Switch 2 version, because then if you upgrade to Switch 2, you're going to get the texture pack, and it's going to look so much better. Don't
Yes.
buy the first game on Switch. Don't buy the game on Switch. Buy it on Switch 2, because it comes with the Switch 1 version, and then you can
Hmm.
just easily convert to Switch 2. Okay, I love this studio. They made Legends Arceus, which to me is my favorite Pokemon game ever. This one here is great in what it offers, but what it offers isn't always great, if that makes sense. So the combat system is fantastic. I'll get to it in a moment. But the entire game takes place in Lumiose. It's the big city from Pokemon, what is it, X and Y or whatever. But you're contained to the city. So the city has been expanded upon. It's so much bigger. There's wild areas where Pokemon kind of roam. So those are like, they simulate those outdoor environments and stuff. And you're basically going around the city, and you're trying to help this organization figure out why enemies are going alpha, like not alpha, the mega forms and stuff, because they're mega evolving and then terrorizing the city and all this kind of stuff. So you're working with this organization, but you yourself are working for Team MZ, which is this like ragtag group of kids that are Pokemon trainers, and they want to help and so on and so forth. Now, the world itself is very weird, because it runs great on Switch 2, it runs great on Switch 1, but there's a reason for that. And that's because when you look at buildings, it's just the same texture all the way down to where the building ends.
Oh my god.
And there's like, every window will be the same window. There won't be curtains drawn. There won't be, if one light's on, they're all on. If no lights on, they're all off. There's no life to the city itself. People walk around. Most of them are just like standing around, staring at a wall or something like that. Like,
That seems like a really bad
yeah,
oversight,
the
quite
city doesn't
frankly.
feel alive. I like the design of the city. I like moving around. I like the wild areas. At night, a section of the city gets closed down, and it almost becomes like the purge, where if you're there,
Okay.
you just get immediately challenged by someone, or you can sneak up on them and get a leg up, and you get cards that give you bonus points, and those points then contribute to your rank pass, which you need to challenge someone at your same rank to then increase in the rank. So you start at Z, you get to about, I don't know, T or something, and then you do a battle that gets you all the way to F, and then you speed through, so you're not doing the grinding that away. I'm at a point now where the ranking up missions are just finding the person. Like, I have to go and find this person's sister, and there's this little subquest. But the combat system is the most interesting thing, because it's not turn based, it's cooldown based. So if you run around a Pokemon, your Pokemon will follow you and sometimes dodge the attack, and then you lock onto the enemy that you're attacking, and you press any of the 4 buttons for attacks. And then those have a cooldown, they have a placement. So if you use Flamethrower, there'll be a little blue circle. Charizard will move to the blue circle and then perform Flamethrower. My biggest issue with the combat is sometimes the lock on doesn't necessarily work. So when a new Pokemon comes out, if you're still holding the lockdown button, it doesn't fixate on them. You got to move, face them, hit the lockdown button again, and then attack. And sometimes that little gap in time is enough for them to get an attack on you and almost wipe your health bar. So there is like a little bit of a issue there in regards to the targeting. I wish it almost would auto target. Maybe that's a setting I'll explore and see if it is. But this combat system is so fun. It's so refreshing when it works, and it's just this real time thing where you're just relying on cooldowns. And so, like earlier on, like when you're playing Pokemon games, how often have you used Growl or Leer? Right?
Yeah, good
Here,
point.
you use them to fill the gap in time to where the attacks that you actually want work. And then you
Yeah.
can also mega evolve a certain amount of Pokemon as well too. So if you look in the thumbnail, that is Mega Lucario. Lucario is my second favorite Pokemon. My first one is Golduck, but I haven't found a Psyduck anywhere. And you know what? I'm going to search, is Psyduck in Pokemon ZA?
Because
Yes.
if not, it's getting ranked down.
He is. I gotta find out where this little fucker is because I want Golduck. But yeah, like here's the thing: the city itself is lifeless, but if you can get past that, the story is really interesting. The challenges that you do are really good. The fighting is amazing. The level design and how you're getting on the rooftops and stuff is really cool. It is an absolutely fantastic Pokemon game that is let down by a city that is nothing but repeated JPEGs.
Okay, that's a shame because that will hurt the game for me because I definitely, just based on my experience of other games, I struggle with games where the worlds don't feel alive
Like just
because
watch
I'm
any footage, and it's just like non-stop JPEGs.
yeah.
My headset's
That's a
about to die
real
here.
that's a real shame. That is a real shame.
It's
Like
still worth getting. I still do recommend it. Right
okay,
now, it's probably sitting at like an 8 or an 8.5 for me. If
okay,
the story
sounds good.
really picks up, then I'll commit to that
Yeah.
8.5.
I
But
do like the idea of the new battle system being,
yeah, it's
not
great.
fully turn-based and a little bit more active, moving around, that kind of thing. I think that's really cool. I think that's the way that Pokemon should have probably gone quite some years ago. But it is what
Oh,
it is.
it has a quality of life feature that is so fucking amazing. So let's say, for example, you're throwing Pokeballs and you keep missing and whatever like that, and your Pokeballs just fade into the ether. No, there's a dude that runs around, picks them all up, meets you at the Pokemon Center, and says, "Hey, you dropped 45 balls. Here you go."
Oh wow, wow, that is cool. That is
Yeah,
really cool,
there's
actually.
lots of quality of life features. The menus are really nice. Like everything is exactly what you want a Pokemon game to be. But I think relying on it being Switch 1 compatible has really hurt the Switch 2 version, which
Yeah.
is why the next main series Pokemon game is going to be Switch 2 only.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That will be interesting to see, actually.
Like I want a
Well,
Pokemon world that looks like what Xenoblade, what Monolith
yeah,
what Monolith
'cause
is
they
doing
can
with
do it,
Xenoblade.
right? We've seen them do it. So
Yeah, like give me a Pokemon world like that. Like I just want a Pokemon game that's not tied down to the traditions that it's done. I want a Pokemon to be
yeah,
on the level of a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where it's this
yeah,
massive world. You're going on huge adventures. There's cities and stuff that have different cultures for Pokemon. Like there's people like I just want that. Like
yeah.
if they can make that, oh my god, would that be amazing?
I agree. I completely agree because that's what I've wanted for years. So yeah, I completely agree. If you like the sound of Pokemon, you can obviously pick it up now. It's available now. If you've enjoyed this episode, please, like,
Like,
subscribe,
comment,
do all
subscribe,
that good
hit that
stuff.
bell.
Head over to the website. Use our NordVPN links if you need them. We will see you very soon. Jeff will have more games to talk about next week. I'll have more things that I can actually talk about next week as well, which is nice. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. But for now, it's a goodbye from me.